Good morning.
Good morning to you as well, Sid.
Good morning to the podcast episode number 3, talking real estate again
Yes.
with the real estate legend Roham Kamali.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So, last time we were here, we discussed a few topics. You asked a few questions, which was kind of brief. Today, you mentioned that we're going to dive into a bit more of specifics in terms of the questions you want to ask, my outlook on real estate, how it's going to shape up. So, yeah, let's begin with that.
For sure. Getting straight to the point, I think I've seen more of my relatives joining real estate than any other job.
Okay.
So this means there's more unqualified people joining real estate.
Yes.
What's the craziest story you've heard from a real estate agent of something they've done or something they're currently doing?
Well, I mean, it's not crazy, but I was sitting with one of my investors, and he was just showing me the agents that he's spoken to, and what they have to say and the stuff that they have to offer. I think the main thing that I see that's very mind-boggling, but it may be normal in some of their eyes as beginners, is they just keep pitching project after project. So this one guy ended up pitching 6 different projects in the span of 3 hours without even trying to understand the
Wow.
requirements of the client. So it kind of goes to show that when you're unqualified, you don't really know what you're doing, and you think the more options that you give, the better it is for the investor and the easier for him to pick out, but you're just ruining your name, your reputation, and your business.
What about those projects which are being pitched by agents, which are by some random developer, which is their first project, and which promises that they're the best in the market? What are those projects going to do to the investors?
Well, here's the thing about new projects from new developers. A lot of times they can be very profitable, especially if the location is there and you know who the contractor is who's actually constructing the project. Usually you can cross check and see which other developers they've worked with, and you can understand the type of quality that will come out of it. I guess the only concern that you may have is, will this developer be in business by the time it hands over? But then again, the escrow account is there to protect you. So if the location makes sense, price is good, and so is amenities, then you shouldn't really hesitate with the safety we have here.
A famous real estate influencer mogul, Dr. Anand, you might know him.
Yeah, I've seen his clips here and there.
Awesome. He said that 85% of the market's agents should not even be in the market. What do you say about this? Do you agree? Is it true, or what exactly is it?
I think it's very correct. In Dubai, the trend is fast money and quick money. A lot of people think you get into real estate, you make a few calls or you meet a few people and you're selling 50 million dirham property, 40 million dirham property, but it's not really the case. I actually got a cold call from an agent a while back, and she kept on offering me things. I'm like, okay, you know what? You didn't ask for my requirements, but here's my requirements. What can I buy? So I gave her a budget of like around 2 million, something with a good rental return. She kept on offering me Azizi, Samana, all these smaller developers. And then I told her, lady, 2 million can get me a Amar in Dubai Hills. Why aren't you offering me that? And get this, she told me they don't offer me as much commission as these other developers.
You're joking.
I swear to God.
She said those exact
She
words.
said those exact words. I mean, you gotta give it to her. She's honest, but
That's
yeah,
unethical.
very.
And I think from an investor standpoint, it's not like it's 100,000. It's not like it's 20,000. It's a million. It's 2 million.
It's 2 million.
Hard-earned money for some people. For all people, it's not that easy to make a couple million.
Exactly. So people or agents really don't understand what their job actually is. You're a problem solver. Someone has cash sitting in the bank. They need to invest it so that they can make the money. Now you have to solve this problem of the money not making money. You got to understand the requirements. You got to listen more than you talk. You got to understand what these guys want: capital appreciation, ROI, what type of units, what type of appreciation, long term, short term. If you're not willing to listen and you don't know, which frankly a lot of agents don't know how to ask the right questions, then you're not really going to get that far.
I think the most important part when investing in real estate is the difference between your fixed deposit in the bank
Yes.
and what you're doing. With fixed deposit, after inflation, you have like maximum 1 or 2% left
Yes.
of interest. With real estate, it should be a lot more. I mean, that's what you're paying, right?
True. I mean, that's the thing, right? A lot of people choose to keep their money in the banks. I mean, not that cash is not good to have, but then when you got excess laying around that you can dump into real estate, well, I'm using the word dump very loosely over here, you should, because it gives you a higher net return per year, not only on rentals, but in terms of capital appreciation. So let's say you're renting out your unit for a measly 5%, which is very low in Dubai. And then every year you're getting anywhere between 6 to 7% going on top on the price. After 5 years, that's a lot of money compounded
Yeah,
that would have really not have had any effect in the bank.
true, 100%. And going on to agents who are selling good and bad properties for investment purposes, what are some green flags and agents that you've seen which you would say, I'm going to work with this guy if you were an investor?
Well, I believe some green flags, or the biggest green flag, is actually listening to the investor, asking the right questions. So if your agent is listening to you, asking you more detailed questions every time you give him a piece of
What are the right
information.
questions? Give me some examples.
So, for example, let's say the guy goes like, "Oh, I want a townhouse or a villa." And then instead of the agent, let's say agent A is going to be like, yeah, Damak has it, MR has it, whatever. But then agent B, the better agent, okay, why is it that you want to invest in a townhouse? Do you want capital appreciation, or are you looking for longer term tenants in terms of families? They like the unit, they'll stay there for years. And then he goes like, oh, I want better tenants. Okay, then this community is a bit more expensive, but
Yeah.
it has better amenities, slightly bigger layout. So it's going to suit you better in terms of the projections you have for this investment, rather than, oh, townhouse, yeah, X and Y project, come through and buy, you
I
know.
think I've been pitched some very, very weird projects.
Mm-hmm.
On the note of weird projects, have you seen the project in close to the Abu Dhabi border, which was just taken over by a developer? I can't remember the name. I think it's called Arabian Hills.
Arabian Hills,
It's just
correct.
land plots in the border. I think it's close to Al Gadir. I mean, to market as a place to live, it's very hard. Your biggest competitor would be Al Gadir. But who wants to live on the border of Abu Dhabi?
See, here's the thing in terms of Arabian Hills. Decca came in, bought a project that was almost literally cancelled, and they continued developing it. Actually, I have one client who bought there, unfortunately, before he met me. And I was speaking to him about it, and he told me what the vision is, what's going on, and all of that. And I told him, not that I don't believe in it, but I don't know, it's a 50-50, right? But then the more you look into it, as I said, every sort of investment is for a different sort of person.
Yeah,
So his outlook on it was, hey, I got a plot for like 15,000 square foot. I only paid like 1.5 million for it.
that's they're cheap.
I can build a nice estate. There's only infrastructure that has to be built there, not villas. All the amenities are going to be up and running within 2-3 years. And I can land bank, sit on the land, let it appreciate, or I can build a nice vacation home, and and it's far from the city, close enough to Al Ain, still close enough to Dubai as well, with everything there. Actually, it's about half the size of Dubai in terms of
Half the size of Dubai.
it's huge. It's not even in Al Ain, it's not in Dubai. It's smack dab in the middle of them, but it resides in Abu Dhabi's borders, and it's half the size of Dubai. I don't remember in square kilometers, but it is. It's almost as big.
Wow. For developers selling on a guarantee of capital appreciation or rental yields, how legit is that? Because isn't it so easy just to say I'm going to give you 7%. If it's yielding 8%, give them 6, buy back the property, and take the 8 to yourself. I mean, what can you do in a situation like that? Should you work with developers who have the option to guarantee commission, rental yields and capital appreciation, or should you stay away? I mean, what's the outlook on that?
See, usually I'm just gonna keep it at this. I'm gonna keep this very short. If there are developers who are offering you guaranteed rental returns or guaranteed buyback clause, sometimes for even double the amount of the unit price in 10 years' time, there's always a different set of initiatives on the background. But that doesn't mean that it can't make for a good investment. For example, the heart of Europe, you can buy a hotel room that's rented out almost every day of the year, but you have access to it for 2 weeks.
Wow,
You get 8% ROI every single
net or
year,
gross?
net
Wow,
into your pocket. Sorry, gross into your pocket, yeah. So straight into your pocket, let's say your unit is worth a million, 80,000 directly into your pocket every single year, and it gets paid quarterly. And they do sometimes give you the option to buy back your unit for double the price 10 years down the line.
That's your money guaranteed. It's a legal and safe way of a double your money scam.
I mean, kind of. The only thing is, the only thing you're gambling on is what if the developer just goes out of
Yeah.
business? But there's big hotelier brands over there. There's a lot of, F&B. There's a lot of hospitality. It's tied in too deep for that to really be a realistic scenario.
On the note of developers leaving and going away, on our last podcast, I did mention that my father had a property in DIP
Yes.
in a project called Sean Business Suites, which Touchwood had been delivered. But one of the other projects by this developer called Sean Lagoons, just in the news, it's been under construction for 19 years
Wow.
and just got cancelled now. How can this not happen again? Because investors put a lot of money into that project.
Well, here's the deal with canceled projects that come out as canceled and they announce it after like 19 years. So, Project A gets announced that it's canceled after 19 years. What do investors do? There isn't much you can really do, to be honest, unless there's some sort of financial records of how much money you put into it so that they can auction off the land
Yeah.
and give you back some of that money, then yes. But today, in today's market with the escrow accounts, even if the developer runs away, a huge chunk of everyone's money still in the escrow. And what they do is they auction off the land, use a bit of the money they got from the auction, top up the escrow account
Yeah.
so that everyone's full payment is there, and you essentially get your whole money back. So you're either getting the unit or you're either getting the money. So it's not really gonna happen 20 years down the line. We're not gonna see the same news as today.
For the projects that have been delivered as, cancelled, developer ran away and then, been taken by something else. My parents recently got their property handed over. Handed over, I mean they took it back because there were some complications because the developer ran away. So surprisingly you have to give a lot of documents to the new developers, especially if it's a government developer.
For sure.
So the developer had given us a discount. I don't know why. I think it was a bulk deal we did or something like that on a group buy. The developer asked us for I think it's 14-year-old papers, which we expect us to find.
Wow.
Thank God we did. But if we didn't have that, we had no property back in our hands, and that's the full total loss now.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing, right? Documentation is very important. That is what Dubai really relies on. Everything is documented, everything is on paper. Going down the paperless route that Dubai has, as you know, everything is
Yeah.
on apps, everything is on email, so that it's easy to keep track of documents. Paper gets lost. As you said, if the paper wasn't there, then you wouldn't have had any units on your hand or any investment, and all your money would have blown up.
Yeah, it was a pretty scary. But on the topic of new things,
Yeah.
we have Donald Trump coming into the election, into the US as the new president. Can we expect a shift in the Dubai economy from this? I mean, Donald Trump is a big thing.
I mean, the only shift or the only thing that's directly correlated now is that Sajwani, the owner of Damak, invested around in about $20 billion into data
Wow.
centers in regards to AI in the US. And they only proceeded with that deal after Trump came into office. So, in terms of the returns on investment that it's going to bring for the Sajwani family, and then later on that investment money being poured here, yes, that's the most direct correlation now. But in general, whenever Trump was in office, the United States economy was healthy. And whenever the United States economy is healthy, the countries that do trade with them, that do rely on their financial
Imports and exports are
systems,
all
always
doing
end
good.
up benefiting.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So, an article had come into the news, I think it was a month ago or two, by Standard & Poor's S&P 500. They said that in the next 12 to 18 months, we are going to be seeing a correction. What can this correction look like? Is it going to be as bad as 2008, where everything's going to come slamming down, developers are going to be leaving? Or is it going to be a little bit more sensible, a little bit more relaxed, maybe a few percent of depreciation, depending on how you bought?
Okay. So people keep saying Dubai is going to crash, there's going to be a correction. But what is this correction? Let me explain to you. If you look in mid-tier areas, there is a lot of property being launched and there isn't that big of a differentiation factor between them. So every other small developer has a private pool now, every other small developer has a paddle court, all of this, and they're all concentrated in the same area.
Yeah.
But then when you look at luxury property, where demand is skyrocketing, where most of the capital appreciation did come from that, you know, those aren't being launched, those aren't being offered in the market.
Yeah.
So around in about 12 to 18 months time, places with a short-term oversupply, as we call
Yeah.
it, are going to suffer. Maybe not in the next 12 to 18. I'm predicting more so in the next 24 months.
24. Okay.
Yeah. More so in the next 2 years, by 27, when most of these units are being
Yeah.
handed over, then yes, we're gonna face a short-term oversupply by then. You are gonna probably not make money, or even worse, lose money if you sell at that time. But remember, you only lose money in Dubai real estate if you sell at the wrong time.
If you can buy at that time, that's when all the money comes in.
True that.
I think that's when most investors are going to be doing the bulk buys. You're going to have like a fake out period where people are like panicking. Oh no, I have to sell. Dubai's crashing. It's 2008.
Speculators.
Exactly.
So that's what happened in '08. That's what happened in 2020. Oh, COVID, nothing is ever gonna recover. Actually, a lot of people opted not to buy, even
Yeah.
investors, in very luxurious areas because they thought it's not gonna recover. That I know of, like for example, I had a family member
Uh huh.
looking at villas in District 1,
Wow.
like round and about what, 8 million, 7 million. It was the price back then in 2020 when COVID was around. They
Yeah.
didn't buy. They're like, it's not gonna go up, whatever, it's gonna crash. Now it's up like nothing cheaper than 17, 18 million over there.
District 1 is just the most amazing community in
It
Dubai.
really is
The
nice.
location is fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, the location is the best part about it.
On the note of that, you're familiar with Dubai Hills, right?
Yes.
Dubai Hills is becoming its own city. It
Mm-hmm.
has its own mall. It has its ultra high-end luxury villas. It has its mid-end villas like Maples, and it has apartments with a huge park. I think that's one of the best communities you can be in right now as Dubai Hills.
To be honest, there is so many factors that make Dubai Hills great. Number one, some of the best amenities,
Yeah.
the best greenery that's probably round and about any community, especially considering the amount of buildings there. You have a golf course over there. You have probably the second best mall in Dubai, Dubai Hills Mall over
Yeah.
there. The price point, the entry for apartments is actually lower than so many other areas. People don't realize
That's low.
you can buy into a one bedroom for around and about 1.55 million in Dubai
For a
Hills.
one bedroom? To me,
Yes.
that's a lot because can you yield out at least 8% of 1.5 million in rent for a one bedroom?
I mean, see, the way people calculate rent is so wrong because here's how it works. Maybe today the rental of a one bedroom in Dubai Hills is round and about 90,000 to 100, 110,000, right? But 5 years ago, it wasn't the case. Maybe 5 years ago, the rental was like 60,000, right? The rental was 50,000, but the units were selling for like 1.2. And people were like, oh, but this isn't 8% capital appreciation. This isn't, I don't know, 9%, not capital appreciation, sorry, ROI. The thing is, the price today can't be compared to the rental return of today. Because when in 4 years' time it hands over, the rental returns then are going to be higher. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but if you look at 2015 and look at these average years in the
Yeah.
market, the rent had a standard, and we're currently above that standard. Like in 2014, rents were skyrocketing in Dubai.
Correct.
What if we hit that stage, you invest now, and you said, I'm going to wait 5 years, my rent's going to go up, and then it's gone back down. It's gone back to the correction.
Did you know Dubai Hills was the only community in Dubai to keep all of its occupancy in COVID?
You're joking.
Honest to God.
That's its USP.
Exactly. There we go. In terms of rental returns, it's insane. And by the way, these one bedrooms that are renting out for 100,000, they aren't your standard 750 square foot MR one bedrooms. They used to offer these one bedrooms, which were kind of like studios with
Yeah.
a glass partition.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Those ones are the ones renting out for anywhere between 80, 90, 100,000, 110,000.
I think there's a lot of there's Dubai Hills commercial offices, right? So a lot
There's-
of these agents who go to who are by these offices, they just have an apartment right next to it. So your tenancy rate is quite high because of the
Business
commercial
park over there.
Yeah.
So
it's
the
pretty
commercial
nice.
is there. The commercial is obviously not for sale. It's leasing only. That's how AMR does it. Anything commercial, they only lease. And that is a selling point as well because even the access to the business park is separate from the residences.
Okay.
There's only one road that leads up to it, which usually doesn't get crowded, and there's other roads leading up to
Yeah.
it. And the exit, you don't have to come back into the Dubai Hills to exit the business park as
It's
well. So
all
it's very
independent.
it's strategic the way it's located, the way that it's put. And honestly, Dubai Hills, you can't go wrong with it. The numbers don't lie. Initially, apartments were, get this, those one bedrooms were sold for around and about 800,000 back in 2014.
That's a gold mine.
Yeah, 800,000 back in 2014 they were sold for. But even now, 1.55 million is very cheap considering that in Arjan, Benghati is selling for 1.6
For a one bedroom?
for one
You're
bedroom. In
joking.
Arjan, 1.6. Considering that Creek Harbor, yes, this one is by the water, but let's not forget Dubai Hills is still a golf course community. One bedrooms over there are starting from 1.7, 1.8 in Dubai Creek Harbor in terms of off plan. Now, secondary is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
One other concern that people have is why is the off plan more expensive than secondary? Statistically, off plan has always been more expensive than secondary.
Why?
Now, here's the thing. Number one, you have a payment plan and you're paying the price of today, but over the course of 4 years with no interest.
Okay.
Number two, it's going to be newer, better development. By the time your tower is ready, it's going to be 4 years newer than this tower that you would have bought into in the ready market. A lot of people like to say, oh, this unit was sold for $1 million in off plan,
Yeah.
and today it's 2 million. Oh, I should have invested. But what they fail to realize is that the secondary option 4 years ago when this was still off plan was for 800k, 200k cheaper.
Yeah.
But then how much did that appreciate to? Maybe 1.5 only. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So every building is unique. It doesn't really matter if the off plan is more expensive than the secondary. That's what a lot of people like to base it on. Oh,
Yeah.
off plan is more expensive. It's not gonna work. That's not the case at all.
I see. And on that note, if you're talking about investments plans, everything is different. What would you say are the top 5 ways to invest currently in the Dubai real estate market? I mean, I've seen people go to Dubai Golf Estates. What they do is they take an okay villa. From the okay villa, they turn it, rip it down, re-renovate the full thing, and they get like 10 million, 5 million on this investment. I've seen crazy things like that. And you're familiar with the platform Stake, right? It's the crowdfunding platform.
Yes, I am familiar with that.
They are now also capitalizing on that. So you can buy a flip and you can make the return back in 8 to 12 months. So what do you think about all of this?
See, Dubai real estate can be profitable in many aspects. Subleasing is something that's starting to really pick up, whether that's single unit Airbnb, whether it's full buildings, whether it's commercial shopping malls. So that's definitely something new. Flipping is gonna get even bigger and even bigger. The oldest community in Dubai is 20 years old. When we look at Meadows, we look at Springs, these places are gonna start getting renovated and flipped more and more often, and especially as communities age, you're gonna see this happening a lot more. Number two is off-plan investment, where you basically don't put in all your capital at once. This is the most proven strategy, the most stress-free.
Yeah.
It's the one where you put in the least amount of equity, not as low as a bank, but still, you're not paying interest. It is Sharia compliant, especially for Muslims who don't want to take out a loan. We have 3. Well, and then fourth one is buy to let. Now, when you do a buy to let, it's very simple. You buy a property in an area where you think, okay, there's going to be a big population over here. It's close to X, Y, and Z place. There's going to be a rental demand over here. Usually, any community that's at 100% completion has a really good occupancy.
Yeah.
That's why whenever we usually tell our investors to buy in the first phase, we tell them, okay, don't expect crazy rental returns yet, unless the price is extremely good at launch. But as the community builds, you're in the first phase, which means you got the lowest entry point, which means you're going to make the biggest
highest rental yield.
Exactly. And then I guess Airbnbs, but instead of subleasing, it would be to basically buy it and then let it out. This means you don't really have any outgoings. It's not like you're gonna have to rent it out for X amount of days a year. You can sit on it. You can, relax.
Your money's safe.
Your money's safe. It's still appreciating in terms of the property value as well.
That's pretty nice. I saw somebody in downtown. I think he had done a full renovation on a 1-2 bedroom, or maybe a penthouse. I couldn't remember. You won't guess how much he's yielding every year from that property. 13% net
on rental.
On short-term rentals.
Yeah, I mean, that's very realistic numbers. I mean, if you take a look at it from a numbers perspective, You had 111 million people
Yeah.
visiting just the Dubai Mall last year.
Wow.
And in terms of what property prices are in downtown, I think it should be way more. Because you can enter a one bedroom market anywhere between 1.4 to 1.6 over there.
That's dirt cheap.
And it's the most visited place on earth,
Yeah.
which means Airbnb is the most profitable there on earth. Yes, there's a lot of competition. Demand is the highest over there from
Yeah.
tourists compared to anywhere else in the world. So it's a really good area to capitalize on.
I think the cheapest current, I could say it in very, very new building in downtown right now is Forte.
Forte, yeah.
Yeah. It's brand new. Prices are still cheap. The only thing is it was delayed by Emaar for around 4 to 5 years, which is a good thing actually. So this is actually coming from when the contractor of this project, I don't remember the name, had abandoned the project because they had gone bankrupt.
Oh, okay.
But it's good that Emaar didn't rush the project, because if they did, that's when quality is compromised.
Exactly.
Uh, Somebody who I know told me that during the rains, that building was not affected at all.
I mean, that's the case with most of Emar's buildings. Yeah, maybe some people are complaining, oh, the tiles aren't as nice as before, the
Yeah.
bathroom sink isn't as nice as before. But then when you look at the overall construction, it's decent, it's proper, you know what I mean? Even the units that did get flood damage, Al Bar came out and said that, hey, listen, as MR, we'll cover it under our company. You know, it's
Yeah.
our product. You guys got affected. Hey, come on, we're going to pay you guys out, right? No insurance, no nothing needed at all. So that's really the perks of investing with a good developer.
100%.
You can't really go wrong. Yeah, you can go for a smaller developer. It depends on your investment strategy, but yeah.
Talking about new things, we have Saudi Arabia, I would say, Dubai's neighbor, and a big competition to Dubai, because Saudi Arabia is launching a lot of new projects. We have the line, which is, in my head, unimaginable. But when you have oil and you have the funds like Saudi, anything's possible with that money, right? Talking about Dubai again, Dubai South,
Yeah.
the new Maktoum airport is going to be there. Emirates is going to be moving all of their things down there. What are we into? I mean, every week I'm hearing new news about
Okay.
it.
Overall, what we do know about Maktoum Airport is that number one, everything's gonna shift there. DXB is no longer gonna be operational by the time everything is all set in stone over there. Number two, this benefits some other communities in Dubai. Most important of all, Dubai Islands. Because if you go to Dubai Islands now, every 5 minutes a plane is flying over to land at DXB. So in terms of the island living over there and for the investors there, it's gonna improve it by a lot. And
Yeah.
there's many other selling factors over there. But then MR South, no doubt, is gonna have so much airplane noise. Like literally, this is MR South and this is the airport. Like they're stuck together.
And what's the solution to this now?
Nothing. There's gonna be airplane noise.
For
MR South.
That's how do you live with that? Your house, if I'm not wrong, with a Boeing, your house is gonna you're gonna feel like you're.
Well, it depends. But
in
for
a-
example, the closest comparison to that is Mirdif,
Uh-huh.
where planes fly really low over to go and land. Yeah, you hear the airplane noise, but after a while, you mentally block it out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's gonna be a good investment. Not that it's gonna be bad, but the airplane noise, considering that it's gonna bring in double the amount of people within
Yeah.
10 years.
It's worth it as an investor standpoint.
From investment, yes, because then you're gonna have a lot of people choosing to live there because their work is related to the airport
Yeah.
as well. And as I said, Mirdif has like a 90-95% occupancy rate, so it clearly doesn't seem to be that big of an issue. And considering most months of the year, something like 8 months, it's hot and you are indoors, you're
It's
not
not that
gonna
much
be
plane
hearing
noise.
it.
Yeah. I think just in the peak season. On the note of staff, you're gonna have the staff of the airport, and they're not making 50,000 dirhams a month. They can't afford a big Emaar villa to rent in. Where are these staff going to be located? I mean, you need affordable housing in an area like that, and investors can go into buying affordable housing. Where are areas in Dubai South which investors
See,
can go
for
in?
example, right now you see a lot of private developers coming out with these single low-rise buildings, like 2 bedrooms for around and about 1.4 million, 1 bedrooms from less than a million over there.
Yeah.
These are good, and you can like even in a really hot market, let's say 10 years down the line, of course, it's gonna get more expensive. But let's say you bought a 1 bedroom at a million and you rent it out for 70,000 in 10 years' time, which it would probably be worth more. you're still getting a really nice 7% return, and it's going to make it easy for the person renting it out as well.
I th-
Go ahead.
I think demand always can be high for the affordable housing in an area like
For
that.
sure.
Because
sure.
when you're in Meredith area, you have lots of affordable housing. I think you mentioned there, it's very, very, very dense area of
Exactly.
people living there. So once you move to Dubai South, you're gonna need a place to live, especially for the people making 4, 5, 6,000 dirhams a month, and it's not
sure.
easy to afford a big villa.
I mean, see, last time we had this discussion of the coffin beds.
Yeah,
So that's what's gonna happen, basically.
coffin beds again and again.
Yeah, I mean, see, in terms of affordable housing, in terms of someone having their own room, kitchen, bathroom, like a studio, it's far-fetched, because even if you look at places like Hong Kong, like Singapore,
Yeah.
where the space is limited and demand is really, really high, is just economically impossible. It's just economically impossible to do.
Yeah.
Because if you keep having demand, if people keep coming in and there is a shortage on houses still, how can rent be any lower for anyone? Unless there is government made buildings, which then again, they code them as labor camps as well,
Yeah.
right? And it's the same kind of thing. It's like you sharing a room with a few people and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
I think a majority of the labor camps, or these smaller houses, coffin beds, are gonna go into DIC, Dubai Industrial City, since the government is now moving all of the commercial spaces out of Alcos, because it's like gold. It's
yeah,
amazing land, and out of even Ras Al Khor, Shoba and Azizi and all these big product Maidan are moving them out.
true.
So either they're gonna move all the way to Sharjah, or they're gonna have to move all the way to Jebel Ali DIC.
Yeah,
So with that, you're gonna have a lot of people going down to those areas, which now gives you the ability of foot flow, right?
yes.
You're gonna have a lot of people in the lower class, and where do they go for lunch? Where do they go for breakfast? Where do they go for dinner? To the cafeterias.
For sure.
So you're gonna have that full ecosystem, like you do in Mirdif, like you do in Dera, in that area, which is just gonna be fantastic. You have your luxury area, Expo City, Dubai South, MR
For
South,
sure.
and then you have your DIC where everything is, which is it's launching like very well now.
For sure. I mean, see, here's the thing, right? Even Alabar came and said the other time, Dubai's market is a golden goose. Just make sure you don't kill the goose, right?
Yeah,
We need affordable housing, honestly, because even affordable housing now is very expensive. You can't find a studio in Dubai for anything in a decent area, anything less than 60.
cost of living is getting too high.
It's very high. Now, maybe in terms of other things, you can get good deals. Like groceries in the UAE are really lower priced compared to other places
In
in
the
the
UAE,
world.
yeah.
Depending on where you get them from.
Yeah.
If you're shopping at Spinneys and Waitrose and you're like, oh, my bills are too high, obviously
For a
it's gonna
reason.
be. But you can go to the waterfront market, actually right next to the entrance of Dubai
Yeah,
Islands.
it's pretty nice.
Fresh produce, fresh meats, half the price of whatever supermarket. Go there, buy bulk, be happy. But the only thing that's really a pain for people is the rental prices, which I do sympathize with them. It is very expensive. I believe it's gonna keep getting expensive, not as fast as it did, but then in 2027 we're gonna see an ease because of the short-term
We're gonna have a
oversupply.
lot of supply. Again, leading on to more supply. If you do invest into properties which are exclusive, that you mentioned, so you have the branded residences like Address, those things are not going to be hit as hard as apartments in JVC.
They will never be hit.
It's,
The
yeah,
only thing that's gonna happen, see, you have to realize one thing. When we talk about oversupply, it's not long term, it's not everywhere in Dubai. It's specific to certain areas.
JVC.
Could be. Arjan, not really, because there isn't that many crazy stupid launches there.
Yeah,
Dubai Land, the residence complex, yes,
they're
that's
launching
another
a lot.
area that's gonna be there. What's gonna happen is it's short term. Dubai, maybe other areas are still appreciating,
Yeah,
but this area is gonna depreciate a bit and stagnate. Let's say like JVC or Dubai Land Residence Complex. What's gonna happen is it's short term. It's gonna last for a year or two until the demand catches up.
yeah. Like in the 2012, 2013 period when we were
Exactly.
just recovering from that big dip.
But as I said, it's going to be area specific.
Yeah,
So Dubai Land Residence Complex could be stagnating or it could depreciate like 10% within a year.
yeah.
And then you look over here, Creek Harbor, boom, went up 20%, for example. This is what happens when a market matures. when a market matures, different areas give you different yields, give you different results.
Yeah.
Before, if you invested anywhere in Dubai 10 years ago, you would have made money like with your eyes closed. Just throw money at any developer, you would have 99.99% made money.
The 0.01 is still there though sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's.
Yeah, you have to be realistic sometimes in the market.
True.
And you have to invest diligently. You can't. People say you can put your eyes closed, but don't do what everybody says. You always want to be aware of what you're doing at the end of the day.
For sure. I mean, the only place I'd say you can close your eyes and really put your money, which is the closest thing to a risk-free investment, is anything with AMR.
100%.
With AMR, they have a track record. You know who they are. You know what they are. They have never lost any money for their investors on any of their communities. They have made some of the most money for their investors. You can buy anything from AMR, close your eyes, wait 2 years, and you're going to make money.
On the note of that, what is MR launching in MR South?
So, in AMR South, there is apartments that are slowly being launched again. There was a set of apartments that were launched sometime around 2018. Those
2018?
were, yeah,
Okay.
the ready ones that are there now. Okay. And then there's townhouses and villas as well, twin villas, townhouses. Golf course is going to be there. It is it's similar to Dubai Hills, but it's just missing that extra bump of luxury that Dubai
Yeah.
Hills has. It's more of like a mid luxury rather than a high end luxury community, but still very, very, very luxurious, very nice, loads of amenities. Another thing that they're doing is the Grand Polo.
What's that?
Okay, now this was announced, this alongside one other community was announced last year.
Okay.
They delayed the launch of the other community. I forgot what it was called, but apparently, word in the market, they delayed it because Dama came out with the same area, same location, with like 400,000 dirhams lower starting price with an
Wow.
extra bedroom. So it kind of that's the word in the market. We don't know. Maybe it was something else that they delayed the launch. They collected EOIs, but then they gave them back.
Wow.
But all we know is it's going to be townhouses. Now for the Grand Polo, it's going to be independent villas.
Okay.
All of them. Not to the level of the Oasis, but also not to the level of a what's it called? Just a townhouse villa
Yeah, like
community,
the
right?
Gulf.
Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of in the middle.
Okay.
It's kind of in the middle, right?
Semi-luxurious.
More than semi-luxurious,
Okay.
I'd say. So it's not as luxurious as the Oasis, where it's like 13, 14, 15, 16 million.
But it's not boring.
Yes, it's not boring. It's not like 3 million dirham
Yeah.
townhouses as well. It is right there between 5, 6 million. Nothing is confirmed on it yet. It is going to be right under the IP on Emirates Road.
Okay.
And it has a 20-kilometer distance from the Al Maktoum Airport.
That's not too far.
Exactly. It's a short, straight drive.
And it's
But-
straight too.
Exactly. And the good thing is you don't have airplane noise over there.
Exactly what people want to sleep well at night. Wow.
Exactly.
That's solid.
Exactly.
And talking about Expo City, we had Expo 2020 and 2021 because of COVID. What can we expect out of Expo City? I heard some very credible agents in the market, very credible, talk that Expo City is going to be better than MR South. What's in hold in Expo City?
You see, the thing with Expo City is that it will automatically drive demand to the residences
Okay.
because it is a commercial area. You have retails, you have the headquarters of multinational companies over there. You know, the headquarters of their MENA region is going to be over there. Some are already there. You're going to have the biggest thing, which is Trade Center, is
Yeah.
no longer going to be there.
Okay.
They're going to move all operations to the new, what's it called? Expo Center in Dubai Expo City, which is actually going to be the biggest expo center in the whole MENA region. So in the Middle East and North Africa, the biggest expo hall is going to be there.
So it's going to be a city and a city and a city. So it's
Exactly.
going to be
And with all
amazing.
the people coming in for the different expos and different exhibitions, you know, there was something around 300 exhibitions last year in Trade Center.
Wow.
So that's
Amazing.
every single day there was something going on there.
So moving that all the way to Expo City, you have a lot more foot flow. Investors who are creating businesses there are profiting a lot. The GDP is increasing. And at the end of the day, we're making more money in Dubai to invest back.
Exactly. And the landlords make money as well because then the rental demand will go through the roof, both short term and
Yeah.
long term as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
So Expo has a good future. Actually, such a good future. MR actually launched over there.
MR launched in Expo City.
Yes, Terra Heights.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Terra Heights. They launched there. Their price is lower than what Expo City is selling.
Undercut? Wow.
But here's where people miss it. People always look at the price, never the price per square foot.
Okay, so are they smaller?
Size is smaller.
Okay, I see.
Size is smaller.
And on the note of smaller sizes, we have developers in Dubai, no name, 1% payment plan, big hit, and cheap apartments. Is quality being compromised, or can they truly be cheap?
See, right now in Dubai, nothing is really cheap. Maybe it looks cheap to you because of the 1% monthly payment plan. But depending on the developer, depending on the type of project that they're doing, yes, it is a good opportunity for a lot of people who don't have high cash flow to invest in a property. Maybe not so much so to flip it, but maybe to make some capital appreciation, to get a good rental return. And these projects, especially with the post handover 1% monthly payment plans, are good because
You can make a small rental income at least.
not only that. The good thing about these projects with the 1% monthly payment plan post handover is that when it comes time to flip it, it's something that benefits the end user that wants to buy it off of the investor, because then they have to put in less money at the start. So this is why it's such an attractive option, because the moment you put it in the secondary market, you can advertise it as ready. Let's say the price is 2 million. You only need to pay 1.5 million, and the other 500,000
You can split over
gets
wherever.
spread over like 4 years. And 500,000 is a good chunk of money as well.
Yeah.
So
On that note, a lot of investors don't know, but there are 4 main developers in Dubai where you can get a mortgage off plan. Once it's 50% done, these 3 developers, Marshall Fatim, so they have Talal Gulf Woods, Imar, Dubai Properties, and one more, which are letting you get a mortgage 50% during completion.
you know who?
Who?
Damak.
Demac?
Yes.
Wow.
Surprisingly, with all the stuff that people say. But here's the thing though. It all depends on the mortgage company as well.
Okay.
So we used to think, or at least we used to believe, that only if your unit was above 3 million with AMR, that you can actually do that 50% thing. But turns out it's just so much hassle to do it that a lot of mortgage brokerages
Say no.
just don't do it if it's under 3 million.
I see. So if you had the right one who's desperate for money, anything's possible.
Not desperate for money, but willing to give a good service and equal service to everyone, and there's no discrimination, then yes, you can.
And from an investor's standpoint, how could that 50% mortgage on-off plan help?
Think about it like this. You pay 50%, you mortgage 50%. Now, instead of, let's say the unit price is 1 million, right? So now, instead of having to pay 1 million by the time of handover, get this, yeah? Instead of having to pay 1 million by the time of handover, which is the full worth of the property,
Yeah.
you instead get to buy 2 units with that 1 million, because then you'd be
Okay.
paying 500,000 here, 500,000 here. You throw them on a mortgage, pay it off. Maybe you're going to pay off in the next 2 years. How much are you?
Or
25-year mortgage, what?
25 is the most profitable.
Yeah, 25-year mortgage, you pay like pennies on the dollar,
Yeah.
basically. By the time it hands over, you sell both units. Now you've essentially made double the capital appreciation with the same amount of capital that you would have invested if you didn't take that loan.
So it's like a multiplier. It's a tool you can use to multiply your
Exactly.
investments. Wow.
Exactly.
That's
there we
solid.
go.
And it looks like we are getting to the end of the time of the podcast.
Correct.
It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Always.
We had some very controversial topics that we
Yeah.
spoke about today. Very, very controversial. But they're the unspoken parts about Dubai which need
For
to be
sure.
spoken about.
For sure.
Always.
Looking forward
Pleasure
for the
working with
next
you.
one.
And to the next one.
See
Awesome.
you.